First of all, are you surprised that someone's prepared to spend such a huge amount of money on a painting?
No surprise at all. I think we saw the Francis Bacon with 20 competitors about 9 months ago, or a year ago, who were prepared to spend over $100 million. Last night there were 4 or 5 people in the room, and there are probably 100 to 200 people in the world who are perfectly happy to spend 100, 150, 200 million. We've already seen privately a work of art by Cézanne go for 250 million and a Gauguin for 300 million. So this wasn't a shock, but it was an incredible price, and it set new highs for the auction world.
Who are these people? Are they art lovers or are they investors?
Well, I mean, there was a combination. My guess is that there was possibly Steve Cohen, the hedge fund manager, who's huge collector and possible investor, battling out against someone like Steve Wynn, the casino owner who has a museum in his tower of his hotel, against the Beijing and Shanghai billionaires who are building their own museums, plus, of course, Qatar in the background, who are building a major museum and want to have something of pride, a place for their museum that opens with the World Cup.
Sue Hubbard, how special do you think this picture is, and do you think it's special enough to command prices like this?
I don't even think that's a question that one can answer, to be honest. Yes, it's certainly a special painting. I mean, Picasso is a really mega serious artist. This is a late painting of his, 1955, I think I'm right in saying. But you know, think of a number, pull it out of a hat and add noughts to it. It's got nothing to do with whether it's a good painting. It's about investment, it's about the sort of global economy at the moment, which means that oligarchs from Russia, China, they're all putting, and sanitizing, I would suggest, their money in art, which is movable across borders. It's got very, very little to do with aesthetics. And the thing about Impressionism and Modernism is that it's tried and tested. You know, people know it's... You've got to take a few more risks, perhaps, to buy younger, up-and-coming artists. There are people that do that, but this is tried and tested, and so the really sad thing for me as an art critic is it'll probably be wrapped up and stuck in a vault in somewhere, and no one will see it.
I mean, Mr. Hoffman, that is a point, isn't it? Because financially, this is a win-win. You pay a high price, that raises the floor of these artworks, and you have it, whether you put it on public display or even look at it ever again.
It is a win-win, and I mean, we act for about 125 clients who invest about $500 million, and we buy and sell $4 or $5 million of art every week. And this is both collectors and investors, but most of our collectors are lending the art out to museums free of charge, and many of them are donating. Ronald Lord has just given a few $1 billion in Picassos to the Metropolitan Museum in New York. Mellons and Rockefellers have given all their art to museums. So in the end, it may seem like it's going to get locked up, but actually most of this art is going to appear in public display pretty soon.
Sue Hubbard, if people do get to see it, is there any problem with people spending this amount of money on art if they want to? Does it have any effect on the rest of the market?
If they want to spend that money, I don't care, but I think that the problem is that there's a huge irony in this. You know, Picasso was a radical artist. The people that buy these works are not interested in the history of art. I mean, I'm not saying no collectors. I mean, no, you know, no collectors are knowledgeable. Of course, that's nonsense. But the whole movement of these huge sums is about a form of investment. It's banking. It's no different to buying a house in Knightsbridge and leaving it empty.
Well, Mr. Hoffman, correct me if I'm right, but it's also true that contemporary artists who hit the jackpot, they also become richer than footballers, don't they?
Damien Hirst is into the hundreds of millions. You know, there are plenty of very, very wealthy artists right now. Christopher Wool in New York, in America, is probably worth hundreds of millions. The artists, the living artists, are benefiting. Obviously, we're looking at a smidgen of about 1,000 artists in the world that are in this super stratus of sort of footballer legends. But the rest of the artists, you can buy a fantastic picture for 10, 20, 30,000, even a couple of thousand. You know, this is a very rarefied end of the market. These, in a sense, nothing really has changed. You know, 20 years ago, you'd have to pay a huge amount for a Canaletto or a Titian or Rembrandt. You know, relatively, the client who sold this, he bought this picture for 30 million 17 years ago, sold it for 150 million. He's going to reinvest that in buying some other works probably and enjoy it. He was a collector and bought very wisely and bought a great piece. So I think you know, there are pluses and minuses about it, but at the end of the day, I think you're going to see more of these works going on display all over the world, the Chinese, the Indians and so on, and it's really, some countries got a lot of art sitting in countries and others have nothing and they want to have some.
Places to raise these funds, and it doesn't become about the art and about the aesthetics, it becomes about bank balances, investments, oligarchs buying work.
Okay. Thank you both very much indeed for joining us. Thank you.